the wise ant and the lazy grasshopper. In a lush green meadow there lived a wise old ant named Alma and a carefree grasshopper named Gus. Every day as the sun rose high in the sky, Alma would be busy gathering food and storing it away for the winter. She would scurry back and forth between the fields and her home, carrying grains, seeds, and whatever she could find. Meanwhile, Gus spent his days lounging in the sun, singing and playing his fiddle. He watched Alma working tirelessly and couldn't understand why she didn't take time to enjoy the beautiful weather. "Alma," Gus called out one day as he relaxed under a shady tree. "Why do you work so hard? There's plenty of food everywhere. Come, join me and enjoy the day." Alma paused for a moment, wiped her brow and replied, "Gus, I'm preparing for the winter. When the cold comes and the fields are barren, I'll have plenty of food stored to keep me safe and warm." Gus laughed and said, "Winter is so far away. Why worry about it now? There's no need to stress. We have all the time in the world." Alma smiled gently at Gus and said, "Time passes quickly, Gus. The seasons change before we realize it. It's wise to prepare when you can, so you're not caught off guard." But Gus didn't listen. He continued to spend his days playing, dancing, and enjoying the warmth of the sun, while Alma worked diligently, gathering her supplies. As the weeks passed, the days grew shorter and the air colder. The once lush meadow began to wither, and food became scarce. Gus noticed that it was getting harder to find something to eat, but he didn't worry too much. He was sure he would find a way to manage. One day, a harsh wind blew through the meadow, signaling the arrival of winter. The trees were bare and snow began to cover the ground. Gus searched desperately for food, but there was none to be found. Hungry and cold, he realized his mistake. He hadn't prepared, and now he was in trouble. Shivering, Gus made his way to Alma's home. He knocked on her door and with a humble voice asked, "Alma, may I come in? I'm cold and hungry and I have nowhere else to go." Alma welcomed him inside with a warm smile. Her home was cozy and she had plenty of food stored away. "Come in, Gus," she said kindly. "I have enough to share." Gus entered, feeling ashamed. "Alma, I was foolish. I spent all my time playing and didn't think about the future. I see now that I should have listened to you." Alma placed a comforting hand on Gus's shoulder and said, "It's never too late to learn, Gus. We all make mistakes, but what matters is that we learn from them and do better next time." Gus nodded, understanding the wisdom in Alma's words. He knew that he had taken the present for granted, not realizing that time moves forward and seasons change. He vowed to be more like Alma in the future, prepared and wise, thinking ahead and making the most of his time. That winter, Gus and Alma became close friends. Gus learned to appreciate the value of hard work and preparation, and Alma taught him that while it's important to enjoy life, it's equally important to be ready for what lies ahead. When spring finally arrived, Gus was a changed grasshopper. He still enjoyed playing his fiddle and singing, but he also made sure to set aside time to gather food and prepare for the future. He had learned that true happiness comes from balancing work and play and from being ready for whatever life might bring.